Today, we'll be reading some Latin stories that my Latin class wrote, and more specifically, we'll be following the story of a boat with two standout characteristics. One being that it has a cabin, and the other being that there is a garden on the boat. And in the end of the video, we will compile the entire story of this boat. The Latin and English versions of these stories will be in the description. While listening to these stories, you need to remember that when learning a language, repetition is key. For example, if you only hear a word once, after several weeks, you'll probably not be able to remember it. However, if you hear a word, say, 500 times, you will almost certainly be able to remember it. And with that in mind, please ignore the repetitive nature of these stories. Disclaimer, I don't know why Justin Bieber shows up in so many of these stories. I guess my Latin class was just weird when we wrote these. And with that, let's start the first story. Justin Bieber on the Boat, by my Latin class. Ron is in the room. Ron sleeps in the room. Dave is on the boat. Dave works on the boat. Dave isn't asleep on the boat. Dave works on the boat. Dave isn't sitting on the boat. Dave works on the boat. Miserable Dave. Dave works. Ron sleeps in the room. The room is in the boat. Justin Bieber is in the garden. The garden is in the boat. Dave is sad because Justin Bieber is on the boat. Ron is sad because Justin Bieber is on the boat. Dave and Ron are sad. Justin Bieber sits in the garden. What does Justin Bieber do? Justin Bieber sits. What does Ron do? Ron sleeps. What does Dave do? Dave works. The end. And the second story, Justin Goes to the Bahamas, by my Latin class. John is on the boat. Ron is on the boat. John and Ron are on the boat. Justin Bieber is also on the boat. His Latin name is Justinius. Ron and John don't like Justinius. John wants to go to Cambodia. Ron wants to go to heaven. John and Ron don't like Justinius. Justinius wants to go to the Bahamas. John wants to go to Cambodia, but he has no money. Miserable John. Ron wants to go to heaven, but he lives. Justinius wants to go to the Bahamas, and he has lots of money. Justinius goes to the Bahamas. Justinius is happy. He's not sad. He is happy. John and Ron are also happy. The end. And finally, The Pirate's Mother, by my Latin class. The pirate is in the boat. The pirate is sitting and sleeping in the boat. The dog is in the room. The dog in the room is sleeping. The dog sleeps on the table in the room. The pirate likes the dog. The pirate's mother is also in the boat. The mother does not like the dog. The dog is on the table. The mother screams, and the dog is not asleep. The mother puts the dog on the chair, but the pirate is on the chair. Now the pirate and the dog are on the chair. The pirate is not asleep, but yells. The pirate does not like the mother. The pirate picks up the dog and leaves the room. The pirate puts the dog in the garden in the boat. Now the pirate and the dog are asleep in the garden in the boat. The end. So let's make the story of this boat. At first, Dave was working on the boat, while Justin Bieber pays for the boat to ferry him somewhere. It's a question whether Ron is working on the boat or whether he's being ferried somewhere. By the time the next story rolls around, the boat must have docked somewhere when Dave got off and John got on, but didn't have the money to make the boat go to Cambodia. Ron is clearly working for the boat now, and we know this because the working conditions are terrible, which would be why Ron wants to go to heaven. We know the working conditions are terrible because Dave was so miserable, and now we know that Justin Bieber is going to the Bahamas, which he gets to and the boat docks at. The next part is accounted in a story I wrote, which is technically not canon, but it includes this boat at a port, which I assume is in the Bahamas, and a pirate taking the boat from a boy who is never named, but we can assume is Ron. I no longer have this story, which is why I can't put the whole story in this video. The third story is after the pirate took the boat from Ron, and John clearly got off at the Bahamas. Now this story doesn't talk about much, so that's all that's important. But what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and as a fun game, how about you guys try and guess what words we were learning when we wrote these? Thanks for watching Animated Animator.